It's good, guys. So it's November the 9th. It's Tuesday, absolutely wild day in the markets, crypto, gold, silver, dollar, um, a bit of everything to be honest. Maybe not yields. Let's start very quickly with the SPY. You can see it was a green day, up 0.5%, gave back a lot of the gains. Still haven't tested this 390-ish zone. That's the next place to test if we get there. The Nasdaq weak again. I mean, it was up more than the SPY, but to me, it's a weak, bit of a doji. I think tomorrow we go down. Actually, I don't even think we're going to get up to test this zone, the first resistance. Nasdaq will lead the way lower. I mean, that's kind of associated with crypto, or at least it will help pull crypto lower, in my opinion. We'll get to crypto in a bit. The Dow Jones, which has been leading the way, probably the most important index to look at the moment because it's already gotten to its long-term descending line. I mean, I thought we would test this area, this sort of two lines of resistance. It took out obviously this previous 33,000 high, but basically closed below the downtrend line. And basically, you don't want to get too precise, but essentially it's found its resistance here. It'd be very important to see how it reacts now. Does it have enough strength to keep going to the next resistance line, but more importantly, breaking out of this downtrend line? I don't think so. I wasn't as sure yesterday, but now with the way the market's reacting, specifically the Nasdaq, let's see what happens with the elections too. I mean, there's a lot of influential factors here, but I think generally the markets predict events, even things that can't really be predicted, like elections. When you look back, the chart always makes sense, and to me, whatever, we're going down. You have to choose at some point, and for me, it's going lower, which is why let's quickly finish on the Russell. The Russell is kind of weak-ish. Obviously, it's the weakest one of the day. So the Russell, the Nasdaq, I think all of them will go lower actually tomorrow. And another interesting anomaly that I've been pointing out the last few days is the VIX. So the VIX was going down constantly, even when the market was seeing red days. So that was a bit of an anomaly. Today it's up pretty strong. And given the fact that the markets are up about 1%, maybe just a bit less than 1% on by average, it's still quite impressive. So it's reversing its strange behavior from the last few days. I think the VIX will keep going up. I think it's made a bit of a bottom just below its sort of trend line. So I think we'll go up a little bit, maybe test high 20s as the markets roll over. And it'll be very interesting to see how the Nasdaq, because when the Nasdaq rolls over, if it comes down just one day, let's say it has a -2% day, or it goes down for 2 days. Once it tests this area, we're talking about a triple flush. Like that's probably the weakest pattern you can get in trading. So once it gets to 259, if it loses 259, it's done. I mean, for me, it's done. You might get a little snap back, fake out, but basically see what happens 2 days later after that fake out. It'll be flushing 250 and then everything will be crashing. The Dow Jones will be down here, coming back down, and everyone will think, oh, it was obvious, the chart said it. Yeah, but you gotta see it before it's obvious in the charts to some degree. So anyway, I'm gonna try and skip through some of this quickly. So for me, the markets, they've done nicely, they bounced, but I think we're gonna go back to reality. We're gonna head lower. People will say, oh, it's PAL, it's crypto, whatever. But for me, it's the charts. So I am now more bearish. Let's move to the yields. And it's annoying when I do these videos a bit late because the chart numbers reset here at TradingView. But anyway, we can see what happens. So basically a nothing day for yields. I'm going to actually go through yields very quickly because, sideways. 1 year just sort of giving back a little bit from its highs. 2 years, same thing. 5 years, same thing. A bit of a drop. And this coincides. Actually, we've got to watch out here. We could have a bit of a flush if it coincides with the move in the dollar. The 30 years nowhere near flushing. Basically, we're hovering around our highs, but we've sort of gone up a lot in the yields. So You just got to watch out that it might break the ascending. Just if we look at TLT, for example, which is the actual bonds, the 20-year bonds, this would be the opposite. Maybe we have a little bit of a breakout coming soon. Got to watch out for that, for example. It could have a little pop and then back to the old pattern. Just like bear market bounces are pretty strong. You can expect the same with the yields because they've come down. Sorry, the yields have gone up, but obviously the bonds have gone down a lot, and a lot of people have gotten burnt trying to catch this knife. A lot of people. And I'm talking about big boys too. So yields, just a little softer, but near their highs. Maybe it's worth paying attention in 1 or 2 days if it starts to break this pattern. So nothing too crazy today, but it could be very soon. Let's look at the dollar. This is when it starts to get interesting. So the dollar, just like yields, went lower. Now we're hitting a very important point, a bit like yields. Maybe the dollar will lead the yield move, but obviously we've got this ascending line. We're basically there. We've got this little trend line here, which I think does count actually. And then we've got this upper one over here where we've sort of touched it. I mean, we saw this coming all the way up here. We came down quite a lot with Powell, so nothing too surprising. But what is interesting is basically what happens tomorrow. I think tomorrow you either get a candle which bounces or you get basically a break. And I mean, we'll be at 108 very quickly. And then after that, 105. I think 105 is the bigger target. I think a few people are watching 105. You don't really break a big pattern like this just to go to 108 and then bounce back. Obviously, everything's possible, blah, 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 but I don't think so. So, and remember, the dollar's been extended for a long time. So, and going back to 105, even below, is still bullish. We're just going back to test the old resistance. What would that mean for the euro? Now, the euro, very strong, which makes sense. Here, it's sort of just stalled at the previous resistance. We're back out of this descending line. For me, euro goes up to 103. 103 and a bit, if the DXY goes down, but it's the same thing. The euro dollar is the biggest component of it. The US dollar Japanese yen, that would make this go lower. I think we can see low 140s in this. After all, the Japanese central bank is protecting the yen by selling its dollar reserves. 150 was the you shall not pass zone. And although it was quite exciting watching the Japanese central bank sort of lose control, in the end, they did what they had to. And we can expect at least a bit of a further drop before we return all the way up. I'm not going to bother. Actually, that might be useful. Just for now, yeah, I think 142 actually is ideal. It's sort of the support of the last few daily candles, and actually after drawing this, it kind of coincides. So if you have two trend lines, for me, that's pretty good. So low 140s, 142 for USD, Japanese yen, and finally the pound. You can see it's just sort of it closed at the breakout of this descending line. So, and that you can expect go to probably 121. And that's quite a big move from the low actually in the pound. That's basically 20%, a bit more. That's quite a lot for a currency. So yeah, DXY looking to go lower. So that's I'm not going to go through all the different currencies. Basically, everything depends on the dollar, and those are the main three currencies that affect it. So let's move to commodities. Obviously, we had a huge day yesterday, and actually we had continue again. It's annoying that they've reset here, but they had a huge day today, Tuesday the 8th, not this one here. So look at that big, this is copper now. So basically closed at its old highs, looking very strong, could go a little higher. Natural gas, okay, that was it was a bit of a drop because that's the big red one there. Natural gas is a bit special because we've got you got different prices. This is US natural gas. You've got the European one. It's kind of tied to the war a bit more than the other commodities. Oil, that had a bit of a drop back down to fit into this range. So that's kind of just accumulating. You can see we have this sort of tight range here. It's gonna, well, obviously either break out above 93, 94 or break down and then go back to the 80s, the low 80s. I'm going to go straight to gold and silver because really that's the key. That's the focus of this channel for now if I had to focus on a particular asset. Now, amazingly important day. We had this very important Friday, this short squeeze Friday, whatever you want to call it, where we closed at the top of this breakdown. Everyone's very excited. Monday, we had a bit of a sideways move, but I think that was quite bullish. I think if it was going to come down more, then people would think, okay, no, it was sort of a fake. But the fact that it sort of went sideways and sort of closed near or even outside of this descending line was pretty bullish on Monday. And then today, just absolutely breaking out. And gold was up, I think, 2%, more than 2%, which is a huge move for gold. And now we're testing. I mean, this is pretty obvious stuff, right? The next resistance is all the way up here, 1720. I said in the last one or two videos, which is why the circle's there. So let's say between 1720 and 1725, whatever, same thing, 1730 if you want to be very much on the upper end. That's your gold resistance. We have a total breakout. You know, this is a total double bottom confirmed, especially if you take out 1730, then it's really confirmed. And then next resistance becomes 1800, which you could get to very quickly. I can't believe it, but I have to actually place this in. I always want to have at least two support levels beyond the current price point. So that's gold. Silver again outperforming. I think it had a 3% move today. If we check from the open to the close, oh, sorry, it's over here. Yeah, 2 point something, same thing. 3%, very strong, very nice. So closed above the last couple of months closes, right? Went all the way up as high as 21.5. For me, 21 was the target some days ago. We're way beyond that now. Next target, it's a bit hard to call actually around here. There's so much sort of consolidation from the past. I'm just calling 22, nice round number. It's pretty much where the last daily candles suffered here. It got exhausted. And okay, fine, you can add 50 cents to it if you want. So for me, 22-ish is the next target. We're basically there, right? High of day today was 21.6. So pretty close to 22. So gold and silver, amazing. Doing what you expect with the dollar going down. But I feel like there's a bit more to it. I know there's a lot of physical buying behind the scenes, a lot of central banks and big players just accumulating just just what you want to see if you're in this sector. Let's move to the miners, which is the creme de la creme. Now this is where you really make your money. GDXJ normally is up more than GX. It was not up as much, I think mainly because Newmont and Barrick Gold, the big boys just were up huge. So I'm not sure if there's any other reason. Obviously, GDXJ has been outperforming, but anyway, it's just 1.5% difference, nothing too major. Let's start with GDX, sorry. So we broke out of this mini resistance. I mean, once we broke out of this descending line, that's it. We're kind of destined to test 27.5. But still, I thought that 26-ish would be a bit of resistance, but not really. And we closed above it, so that's great. If we get this dollar breakdown that we looked at earlier tomorrow at some point, then you can definitely expect GDX to test 27.5. I mean, how much of a percentage move is that? That's really just 2, 3, max 4% move. Easy, definitely doable. So that's the next target. And if we zoom out, looks very nice. I mean, really destroyed and this could be coming out of a double bottom or just a bottom in general. It's not even double, it's like quadruple. So, I said I'm looking forward to buying dips. Will I get a dip? Has the train left the station? And usually if people are looking to buy dips and everyone's looking to buy dips, then there aren't that many sellers either. And maybe you end up chasing. Now I'm happy I've got enough in there, so I don't need to chase. I'm ready to buy dips, but I'm not selling much. I'll sell a little bit here. And today I trimmed a little bit of everything because they became a bit too valuable. My holdings just were worth a bit too much. So I trimmed a little bit. But no heavy selling where I thought there was resistance. I'm waiting for this move here. GDXJ, same thing, absolutely same thing. So closed above this resistance. We're a bit away from the next one, 6%. That's takes some doing, but if dollar drops, gold and silver keep going up, then we could maybe get GDXJ to go all the way up here. I will be selling this zone, and I will be buying any pullback from there, from that sell point. I trimmed a little bit, but not that much at all. I do expect continuation. So very happy. I'm just being very robotic about this, taking out the emotion, just sort of looking at the chart and trading it the way I would trade a chart if I had no position, the way I would trade a stock if I had no position. So I mean, psychology is half its skill is the other half. So that normally would be it, but no way. I'm not going to look at any other commodities. Uranium didn't do that much. Portfolio is nice. Um, I'm looking at some 3D stocks because they are decimated and it's a bit juicy. Uranium went up a bit like the other commodities, but nothing in comparison to gold and silver. And there were some other couple of stocks that made some moves, especially some that got destroyed after the market closed. Let's look at crypto. Let's look at crypto. It's unfortunate that everything has reset because crypto has been destroyed from this FTX news. Now, for me, crypto is very hard to call recently because if you look at this descending line, my favorite type of um, chart pattern to play is the breakout of a descending line, especially if what you're looking at is a stock that is not going bankrupt. It's that it's not you don't expect some news to just lead to a minus 40% day when the stock market opens. So it's a good stock, it's a good pattern. And then when it broke out, it just didn't move. I mentioned it. I'd expect further follow through here. It never happened, became weak. And then when it got to the lows, I mean, it just wasn't moving. And you needed a day like today. I mean, maybe not if you're bullish, but you needed a day like today where volume comes back, a bit of volatility, a bit of direction, at least go somewhere. If you're going to go down, fine. Let's flush this 17,500. Let's go lower. And then when we get lower, we're gonna have strong volume. We can get a nice bounce. Let's trade this thing. Now, I hardly own anything related to crypto. I own one mining company, Hive. I own maybe 10% of the amount I really want because my thesis has been that this is always going to go lower. I mean, it wasn't as obvious over here, but I'm basically waiting for 10,000 ish. Now, these lines here, especially this one here, at 12,000, I'll probably start buying at 12,000. If I would zoom in and look at crypto, and if on the 1 minute or the 3 minute chart, I see a bit of a curl happening, I'd probably buy a decent amount of this Hive crypto stock at that point in time. I would buy according to the Bitcoin price. And if it goes lower, great. I'm willing to buy all the way at the 4, 5, 6,000 level, but I'd enter with a sort of machine gun mini buy orders just around 12,000. I did say 13 or 14,000, but I think if it starts to cascade down, I know how everyone is. No matter how experienced you are, you start to hesitate, and I think I'll end up buying around 12. But the difference between 12,000 and 14,000 is very little because the bounce will be very aggressive. I'm also wondering how the Nasdaq, which is so weak that we looked at earlier, how that will influence crypto. Overnight, I think maybe crypto will test 17,500. We could wake up, at least the European people may be able to wake up to Bitcoin being below 17,500. I think the markets will go down because of that. There's a lot of exposures like the banks, when you find out what the exposure they have, these derivatives, it's total chaos. Everything's linked. So that's how, and also if we look at the markets this year, everything's just gone down. Everything. And why is that? Because everything's linked. And when there's panic selling everywhere. Will that ruin gold's sunshine? Maybe not. You could even say gold's kind of benefited a little bit from this crypto destruction. But at least that's only for today. And gold's been going up the last 2, 3 days. So I'm not sure how gold will react to a crypto collapse, but I think the general markets, especially the Nasdaq, will go lower and they'll feed off itself, and we could get this collapse to 12,000. I mean, Bitcoin wasn't really looking too bullish. I was thinking maybe 25,000, but I mean, it should have done that move ages ago. It's not been too strong, and now we've got really a reason to go down. It's based on news. It's like bank run style, and we kind of actually made a new low here. I think we went lower than this low, and if we revisit it, it's a horrible chart pattern, and it needs to flush. I think it would even be healthy, even for the bulls, because this is just not good enough. So don't want to spend too long. That's my thoughts on all those asset classes. Very exciting times, especially if you're in the gold and silver sector, watching everything else get destroyed. Um, yeah, good luck. Let's do another video tomorrow.